Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. Hello,
Do I start?
world. Oh, sorry. Hello, world. I'm Chris Pirillo, and this is Alexis. And
Hello.
She happens to be someone who participates in our community enough to have received this half-hour meeting with me by way of GoToMeeting through one of our sponsors, Citrix. And I've been using GoToMeeting for a number of years to meet with people from all around the world. And I really love doing things like this, if only because I love talking about the things that I know and helping other people. And Alexis had questions in relation to doing business online, specifically in relation to YouTube. And so I thought, well, yeah, we could capture it. And I think most of our community would be interested in whatever is going to transpire over the transpire. That sounds a little better over the next half hour. So this is pretty much Alexis's video. I'm just here as a decoration. And Mike, your husband, may actually peek in so often. You guys both watch the vlogs, which is awesome.
Yeah, we do. We both watch the vlogs. I've been following Chris since, I don't know, for a really long time. You were probably one of the first tech people I followed on YouTube before I kind of saw YouTube as being a business sort of a place where I could create hopefully maybe a career that would sustain me the way you've used the internet to create a career that sustains you and work from home, because heaven knows that's my dream job with being able to stay at home with my husband, because watching you guys on the vlogs is so much fun.
It's possible. It's possible. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it is possible.
Sorry, we're doing some adjusting here so my husband can fit in.
Quite all right.
So yeah, so
hey, Mike.
I've been a follower for a long time before the vlog started, and Mike, you basically picked up because he married me, and then he got you.
So, it's like a package deal.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sorry, Mike. I am so sorry. Hopefully there's...
Okay, it's not fine so far.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so he, so basically, you know, I've been on YouTube since 2009, and I started doing tech reviews of gadgets from, my whole, spiel was geek reviews, gadget reviews from a woman's point of view, because in 2009, there were this many women doing reviews online of tech gadgets. And I was lucky enough to have a few people who had found me through my blog, which went by a different name back then because it was strictly tech. But people sent me some stuff to review, and I videoed it on YouTube. And that's how it started. But for me, I would say that once I made YouTube partner because they started sending me money. But
not a bad thing.
So I guess they did the YouTube partner program, and then I started getting money, and then I guess it was really this year that I was like, maybe I should really be focusing on this because I'm making some money from it. If I play my cards right, I could make more. So I guess.
Well, hang on. Let me ask. Where's your channel? Like, where could people find you?
YouTube.com/misstrenchcoat. MISSTRENCHCOAT. So I'm Miss Trenchcoat online. That was like my alias back when people used aliases.
Trust me. I mean, I'm stuck with Locker Gnome for the rest of my life, so I totally.
See, that's where I came into you. You were Locker Gnome. That's how I got pulled into you. You were Locker Gnome, and your little animated face was everywhere.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I go by that alias, and I like it, and people like to call me Miss Trenchcoat. My family members call me that now. Yeah, so I guess I would say that right now I just hit 1,000 subscribers. I would say that a majority of that just came from the last year when I started really upping the ante with my videos. Right now I'm doing Vlogmas, which is vlogging every day until Christmas, because I thought that would be a good way to kind of do something fun and semi-easy around the holidays.
Right.
Because I just use my iPhone and I'm just like talking to the camera, and then it just automatically uploads. But I guess my first question should be, how would you say the best way to go about, I guess, building an audience? Because at this point I would say that I've got some people that pop in and out, but I would really like more of an engaged audience. How do you think one goes about kind of gaining that sort of loyalty?
Well, first, let me say, you've got a good approach. I mean, in the sense that tech, certainly gadgets, tends to be very male dominated, not just from people who are presenting their perspectives on one gadget or another, but also the audience in general tends to be younger male, typically. And that could, go all the way up. When I had first started, and when I mean all the way up, like in terms of age, but still tends to be very male centric. When I had started Locker Gnome as a business entity, YouTube didn't exist, and most of my audience had subscribed to me through the email newsletter that I sent out. That was still very, very much heavily male, but it wasn't young male. It was older male. It tended to be those who had retired and had moved on, and computers were a hobby. Gadgets were fun, but this is back in like the mid 90s. So we didn't have mediums like YouTube to be able to communicate. So I think you've got a very good niche, or I'm sorry, not just niche, because unless I'm hearing it wrong, I don't think you're appealing necessarily to women, but you are a woman and you are going to have a different perspective on technology. It's much like, as you guys do watch the vlogs, when Diana sees a piece of hardware, say an iPhone or a Note 3 or whatever it happens to be, she automatically sees it differently than I do. And, my mind is empirical and very statistical and, how does it, do this and accommodate? And she just likes how it looks, or she knows that it enables a certain type of experience that she couldn't have otherwise. And it excites her in a different way than it excites me, which doesn't mean one's not better than the other inherently. It just means that she has a different perspective. So that is very, very valuable in the sense that someone who's very interested in gadgetry or technology in general is going to have their own perspective, right? And I've said something over the past couple of years, really when it came to mind over the past, several years in doing this stuff online. Two types of people like to watch reviews. There are types of people who like watching a review because they value your opinion, and there are those types of people who watch a review because they're looking for you to validate their opinion. And unfortunately, there are more of the latter than the former, which it can be a bit frustrating, especially when you want to put your perspective out there and you can own it. Like, hey, if you believe that, product X is horrible, hey, that's your opinion. That's your experience. If you think it's great, well, that's your opinion. That's your experience. But the fact that, if your approach is specific to, looking at gadgets or technology from a female perspective, I think that's extremely, that's very, very targeted. It's going to appeal to a broad audience who's interested in technology, but also may very well be female as well. And it's not about, again, one thing or one approach being better than the other. It's just being able to have that message and being able to carry it across. Now, in terms of building audience around that, YouTube sending you money. Hey, congratulations. Doesn't happen to everybody, and especially with
not a lot. I don't want to get anyone the wrong impression. No. I only have 1,000 subscribers, but some of my tech videos have taken off.
And that's the thing. So with technology videos, what I've discovered, and especially over time, people are going to subscribe to you, and it may just be they enjoyed one video, they subscribe, they see what you have to offer, but they're going to discover you by and large by way of searching. So they'll go to YouTube, or they'll go to Google, or maybe a couple people will go to Bing, whatever. They type in a couple of keywords and they search for something, and it may not be iPhone review or Android device review from a female's perspective. It may be. I don't know. I haven't analyzed any kind of search metrics. But when they stumble upon you and they like how you deliver, or maybe the camera angle or your opinion, they're going to latch on. And that's the thing. People sometimes they get more upset at me now than I think they used to, because I steer so middle of the road. Recently, when I did a comparison between, it was one gadget on one platform and another on another platform, and I was basically middle of the road. I said, hey, I don't care what you use. They're both great. And some people wanted me to form an opinion, but I really didn't have an opinion because they both work really well, but they have different strengths and drawbacks, which have already been, spelled out like a million times over. But it's the thing, I'm sorry, the one thing, not just it's the thing. The thing is your personality is really the thing that is, I keep saying thing. I am so sorry. I'm like, I don't know if I've got a Fantastic Four thing going on in my head or what. The personality that you have is your biggest asset. So no matter what you choose to use or what you choose to share, there are going to be people who are going to disagree with you, no matter what. I mean, you can put one thing out there, and it's happened to me over and over and over again. I can say just one thing in the way that I say it, and one person can call me a company hater, and another person can call me the same company lover. It's just me saying the same thing. Everybody brings their own perspective to what they're hearing, what they're watching, what they're experiencing. But it's still it's the personality that I have that becomes my biggest asset. And that is what I would want people to latch onto. So if you're, coming back to, and believe me, it may take me a while to get there, but I'm circling around that concept or the question of how do you build community? How do you build, quote unquote audience? And I think there's a difference between community and audience. Audience is they're out there, they're very potentially passive. They're there, and they're there. The view number grows by one, maybe a couple of comments. But community tends to be there for the long haul, and they get to know you and your proclivities and all your loves, your hates, your general perspectives, and they're going to be with you over that the long arc of whatever your story happens to be. And so building that community is, to me, key for longevity and something that not everybody has. And some people do. Some people keep that very on a very tight rein, in the sense that they don't share a lot of their personality, but they handle production very, very well, or they focus in on one thing and one thing alone. So, for example, if all you cared about right now was I don't know, gadget cases, so it's like, oh, it's here, this little cover here, it's this is all I care about, and that's it. I don't want to talk about anything else. That becomes your niche. That's good, because that's what you get known for, and the people who love watching that will be more attracted to you. The problem I see with that is at some point in the future, when you're no longer really interested in this just doesn't excite you anymore, where are you going to go? What are you going to do with a potentially disillusioned audience that hasn't really connected with you at to me, a much more substantially deeper, more engaged level, and has become that community, that champion for you. And this was really apparent to me when, and again, I've been doing it a long time, been doing it long before YouTube, before a lot of people were even turning the YouTube experience into a career, which a lot of people have, and I would warn against that for a lot of different reasons, if only for stability. When years ago, I was a Windows user primarily, and I mean primarily as like that's all I used. And Windows Vista was released. It was just the worst thing that I think I had ever experienced in terms of what Microsoft had produced as a flagship consumer grade OS. Well, according to them, something that consumers would use. And I was kind of taken aback and found myself having this conflict of I love using Windows. I love what Windows enables. I love Microsoft and all these things. But I have to say something, because to me, my integrity is much more important than someone's bottom line in terms of how much they sell. So I came out and I shared my perspective. And unfortunately, some people thought I was the worst person in the world. Like, oh, how dare you? I've even been blamed personally for the reason why Windows Vista failed in the marketplace was because of me.
That's such a compliment.
That's what I thought. I'm like, you give me way more credit than I deserve, because it had nothing to do with me.
Negative comments are some of my favorite, because it's saying, someone has taken the time to criticize me. Thank you,
You know,
is what I say to them.
You don't have me, we have haters.
Yeah.
I try to think that way, and I think as a producer, you you try to develop a thick skin, and I have a relatively thick skin, having done it for a while. But it's trying to find the, how did I say this? At one point, I think I even got this down to 140 characters in a tweet. There's a difference between a fan and a follower. A fan is someone who's with you for the long haul, and a follower is very fickle. And I'd rather not spend my time trying to attract followers as much as I would like to, create fans, people who are going to understand that, I've got, 30,000 devices sitting behind me, and I'm going to have, probably, well, more Star Wars things in my office than I do electronics. But this is just, it's a part of that, creating the story around you, not just having a personality and sharing that personality, but that would allow you the freedom to be able to, at one point when you're interested in technology and talking about technology from your perspective, but what's going to happen? You have to ask yourself, what's going to happen when the technology is no longer interesting for you? And, this is something that I've struggled with, not really having a roadmap set out for me eons ago. But what I've understood, and this is really, I got to tell you, I mean, it's good to have both of you here, because to me, and I think I even mentioned this in a vlog 600 the other day, doing a vlog has been the best thing for my YouTube channel, because it has provided a deeper level of perspective for people. It gave them a deeper or a better opportunity to kind of follow my story. So as that fan, or as that the person who's in the community or considers themselves a part of the community, grows out of an interest that we might share at one point, say smartphones. I'm guessing the average teenager is not going to be the average teenager forever. Eventually they're going to grow up and they're going to find other interests, right? How do you keep them? How do you keep them kind of connected to that story? And so I would suggest, thinking about that, deeply. And there's no right answer to this. It's just something that I think is very important for the longevity of the audience that you're trying to build. I think you've got, it's a really, really fine, not just a niche, but I think it's underrepresented in terms of technology, at least as far as I've seen on YouTube. Even though I've seen YouTube in general kind of push technology to the side or try to eliminate it, what I have not seen is larger brands doing that specifically with females in the marketplace in purchasing decisions and buying decisions. Mommy bloggers for a number of years have been very sought after by larger brands, and I would expect that to evolve to mommy vloggers, if you will, whether you're a mother or not. It's that you have a female perspective that you could place on this completely inanimate object that is so unique. So what's going to make that even more unique? Doing anything you can to exacerbate your personality, your persona. And you can choose, how much of your personal life you integrate. You can, this much, this little. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just that, for my experience, doing the vlogs and integrating technology the way I have, kind of in a vlog fashion, has allowed me that freedom to give someone the want, need, or desire to continue to follow the things that I might do 10 years from now, even though their passion for, what's the best tablet case that you could possibly buy, that's going to wane over time, but they're still going to be interested in potentially some other part of my story. And so, and again, I don't necessarily have the this is what you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I think that's going to be key for growing, that attention around the things that you're doing. And that kind of attention, that's invaluable. One of the things that is very frustrating for, content producers these days is the lack of attention. There's so much going on. What is it that's going to continue to draw people into the things that you are creating, sharing, doing? And to me, it boils down to that P word. It boils down to personality. So if there's a takeaway from my long and rambling answer, it's personality, and it's persona, and it's using that camera as the vehicle of talking to somebody else, whether you ever meet them in person or not, but you're connecting by way of that camera. And that's your strongest asset that is going to transcend any kind of shared interest, even if it's that moment in time where someone hits a search button, searches for something, you get lucky enough to rank, within search. It's that personality that's ultimately going to help people latch onto you. I hope to God that made a modicum of sense.
That made perfect sense. I mean, that pretty much solidifies some things that I've been thinking about. I started off as doing the tech, and this year, because I was running out of content, I can't own every gadget. Although I own very many cases for my iPad, I can't own them all.
You do own multiple iPads.
I do own multiple. It's kind of sick. But stop it. Okay, anyway, but yeah, so I mean, and I have seen from my, I did start moving into, I guess, lifestyle as well, but still retaining the tech, because I guess my new thing is that tech really is really important in our lives. Like, there's gadgets that help us do things, especially being a woman, and one day I will be a mother, and I'm a wife, and I work. I need my computer and my phone to keep me on schedule, to tell me how to cook that recipe I need to make, to help me find the deals on the stuff I'm looking for, so I'm saving money. So that's pretty much my spiel now, plus lipstick, because, I'm a girl and people love my lipstick. So,
I'm sure Diana, if she was here, she'd be asking about it. She'd be more curious about that. You can
show us her later. I left it out just in case you popped in. Today I'm wearing Revlon Color Burst Matte Balm in, I don't know what it's called. Oh, it's called Shameless. It's the purple one.
Here's the thing, technology is an enabler, right? And the one thing that I've learned about doing vlogs and showing more of my personal life online, I can still talk about technology. I've got something that's, I think it's coming up in tomorrow's vlog. One of my computers is pretty much almost dead. Not quite dead yet, but it's almost there. Integrating technology that way and having that personal dialogue and that dynamic between myself and Diana, I've attracted more couples, potentially, males and females. The attention is increased, and that's become valuable to me as someone who produces content online and shares my perspective and tries to speak to the every person in terms of the way that I present technology. But it's been something that I'm still trying to understand, because I didn't set out this is the idea behind doing something like this. But having that interpersonal dynamic, Diana was kind of dragged into it, even though she's the one who suggested it. It's just been very interesting, very, very interesting, because I know
what? It doesn't really surprise me when you think about the fact that some of the most popular videos on YouTube that really started my YouTube addiction are what's in my bag. People want to know what people carry around. People want to know what their home office looks like. People want to know how you interact with your spouse. Chris, as soon as you guys pop a kid out, you're going to be #1 on YouTube if you put that.
I don't want to make it sound like it's a business deal.
It's not a business deal, but I mean, it's a connection, a human connection thing. You seem more real when you become a husband or a dad, and you have those issues that everyone has.
And that's, it's kind of, not to say that the vlog has evolved into that, but you're right. People, they've asked, what's on your iPhone, what's on your iPad. I do a home office tour once a year. That's coming up on New Year's. This one's going to be a radically different tour compared to last year. But yeah, you're right. And I think that's something that when you have people asking those questions, as much as, I get asked very frequently, it indicates to me that someone is interested at a deeper level than, here and gone and, boom, boom. And that's where, finding, and it's not to say that all technology videos have to be about vlogs, but to me, well, like even at Halloween this year, being recognized by 5 teenage girls, like it was just like this doesn't happen to me as a geek who like is interested in iPad cases. That's just too random. But it's recognizing that value. Even Diana asked at the door, I'm like, do you watch Chris's technology videos? She asked of these young girls, and they didn't want to say no, but I'm like, Diana. It ain't their thing. I mean, like, even I know that ain't their thing. And so there's a value in creating, there's no law that says you only have to have one kind of thing in your channel. And, even if you look back, and I've done like almost 6,000 videos in the YouTube channel that I created, it's been all over the map. I've done gadget videos and review videos and live videos and vlogs and teaching someone how to use a neti pot. I've just tried it. I'm just like, throw it out there and see what happens. So there's no rule, right? It's finding what works and then taking what works and just make it, refine it, make it better. I'm constantly, I had this conversation with Lamar Wilson. It was just the other week. He had remarked to me, like, it's just, you're always trying new things. And I'm like, well, because I know things are working and I know what I can do, but I know that I could do better. And I know that it could be better. And so as time has gone on, what I've learned is that what has provided me the deepest amount of engagement with community and deepest connection that I would have with people from all around the world is not necessarily a shared interest in Star Wars, Lego, gadgets, technology. It's the personal story, the personal experiences that I have as a husband, as a man, as a geek, as with Diana and her experiences and all put together. That has been a very powerful message, to the point where I asked her, because she was really excited when she got a hold of the Samsung Note 3. She picked it up right away because it was white and it was blingy. So she loved it. Like, I'm like, that was her benchmark. I'm like, she loved it because
it was classy, Chris. It was classy,
that
leather.
Right.
Let me tell you, she was speaking my language when she said that. I knew exactly what she meant. She wasn't wrong.
Those were her words. Classy. And I'm like, to me, that didn't even register. It didn't even come close to registering at all. So, but I asked her, I'm like, well, do you want to do, just review with me? Because I gotta put my, the words out there, and I want people to know that I do think that this is a really good gadget. I really do. I still do. It's one of the leading Android gadgets, at least at this point in time, which of course 5 years from now will sound insanely dated. That's another thing that I wanted to remark on. With technology videos, this camera that I have here that I use for vlogging, I mean, it works well today. 10 years from now, if someone watches this video, they're going to look at that and go, oh my God, you carried that around? What? Or they're going to look at today's tablets and go, what was a tablet? What was that, right? Or our smartphones. They're going to look at our technology, and it locks you in to this position in time that it's valuable at that time, but over time it loses value, other than being able to look back at it, in history as a historical significance. And so, as much as I enjoy talking about specific pieces of technology today, and that has brought a certain audience, in a certain part of, the community that, as I call it, this unwieldy, impossible to put my finger on community. It's knowing that I want to have something that is a bit more timeless. And technology tends to lend itself to being less timeless because it's here and gone. Like, a year from now, no one is going to care about this versus that. They just won't, because it's irrelevant. We've moved on from that point. And so the question to you becomes, it's okay to do this versus that today, because that's what, people are interested in, your perspective and your personality and what you put into it as the person you are. And if you're saying, hey, you think it's I'm classy, that's what Diana said. I remember, classy. That's what it is. Hey, that's what it is, right? The question is what is it going to take to keep people interested in that perspective, in your perspective, and you as a human being? And I think, to me, that is the biggest value of YouTube, and especially with technology. And I'll go back to the thing, speaking to people are interested either in your opinions or for you to validate their opinions. Do not concentrate on the people who are looking for you to validate their opinions. They tend to be the loudest, the most obnoxious, the people who are there and gone, and they won't be around. They're really beyond worthless. If someone's watching your video and they don't care about your opinion, you shouldn't care about them. Because why are they watching your video? And you have to ask yourself this. Technology is much like religion. It's like politics. I don't know why. I'm like, look, dude, I don't care what my life has zero bearing. I don't care. I don't care. And don't get me wrong, I care very much about a lot of people, and I care about sharing my experiences. But in terms of personal decisions that people make, there's certain things that there's certain lines I won't cross. And that's just one thing I would say you would definitely have to accommodate, especially in terms of technology. You almost have to treat it like a religion or politics. But you think, or concentrate on, here's the thing. If you do it one way, you can always do it another way the next day, or the next week or the next month. You can always change. Does that mean everybody's going to move along with you? No, not at all. But you've got to do what's going to make you comfortable, what's going to make you happy, what's going to give you the things that you want out of life. And YouTube can, at least at this point in time, be molded not as a career, but as a part of a career or a presence. YouTube has afforded people like you, people like me, people like a lot of people, the opportunity to share our perspectives, opinions, lives, everything, and to be able to generate revenue from it. And so as much as it's good that, a certain entity is paying you for the amount of views or impressions, it's very, very important for you to create other or build other legs around that. So you've got a blog, not to be confused with a vlog. Blogs are still around, although not as important as they once were. I think video is a much more powerful communications medium that unfortunately a lot of people, male, female, have not quite, kind of latched onto. In fact, if there was a hole that exists or a gap that exists, I've seen a lot of mommy bloggers, not a lot of mommy vloggers. There are a few. But having that understanding and that perspective and not being afraid to share your personality, I think is going to give you the basis for longevity, not just on YouTube, but beyond. You have to think, and I would encourage you and anybody to think beyond just YouTube as the only medium. It's one of the reasons why it's very important that I'm active on Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and Instagram and everywhere I can possibly be today. That's going to change. 10 years from now, some of these platforms may not exist. I mean, if you look at the recent flap with Content ID on YouTube, a lot of gamers have found their revenue just plummeting because I don't think they were as savvy as they could have been in terms of business, in terms of reusing other people's content. I've gone back and forth with different people on this, but the bottom line is, and I know this is not the question you're asking, but just make sure that what you share is something that you own. Be very, very careful, especially in relation to YouTube. Wicket? What? Sorry, I don't know what Wicket's barking at, right? He was barking at something. I own that dog's bark. Like, there's no other bark out there like it, right? No other experience like this. I'm not playing someone else's music. I'm not playing a game that somebody else has music in or sounds in or visuals. I'm not playing a movie. I'm not playing a TV. Fair use, I understand, at a fundamental level, but unfortunately, in terms of licensing, we're in uncharted waters in terms of the ability to mix and remix content. So whatever you produce, vlog, standard video, whatever, just make sure, for future's sake, that what you're producing, you own 100% of, in terms of no one's going to come after you, that you know of, that no one's going to come after you for the content that you're actually producing.
I'm definitely big on that. I don't know. My thing is I've had some videos flagged that said that I didn't have rights to something, and I'm like, I know I had rights to everything in this video, YouTube. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I'm very careful. I won't play music in my vlogs.
Yeah.
Even on the radio, I'm like, turn the radio off.
That's right.
I take for my blog, I take all my own photos, other than stock photos that are product images online, which are pretty, I think those are pretty standard you can use.
Yeah, product images, as I understand it, is if you're selling product, I
Yeah,
don't
they
think
want
that
us to
they
use
mind
those
if you're
images.
using their image to
Yeah.
sell their product.
So, I mean, I take all my own photos and things like that because I don't want anyone to, tell me I have to take it down or, get in trouble for it later. So, yeah, I'm very big on that. So, I mean, I don't know how much time we have left, but if I could ask you, could you maybe
No,
do one more
please.
question?
I can wax. Trust me, I can be here all night if I'm not careful.
So I guess that, you brought up a good point, which is something I wanted to talk to you about, which is, obviously you don't want just the Google AdSense revenues from the videos. There's other ways to make money on YouTube, some of which that I can think of is, affiliate networks, which I know you use and I use as well. And sponsorships. So that's something that I am kind of, how do you get into sponsorships? That's something it's a new world for me.
How much time do we have? It's a great question. So affiliate revenue is it can be very valuable. Although I would expect that at some point in the near future, and I hope this doesn't happen, YouTube may very well change their terms of service, which makes it a bit more difficult to do that on YouTube. You've got to be very, very mindful that, something that's a waterfall today may not be a waterfall tomorrow. This is one of the things that I've learned in doing business online for, such an amount of time. When it's working really well, it works really well. And when it doesn't anymore, you're like, it worked so well. And so you have to think about where you're going to position yourself in terms of a viable business, in terms of revenue generation. So, having multiple legs to stand on is very, very important. Affiliate revenue is good. The thing is that, anybody can sign up for an Amazon affiliate account and put their link out there. So the question is, well, what are you going to share that's going to be that much more valuable than what somebody else is going to share? So it's one of the reasons why, I find really cool stuff that I want to buy or maybe that I have bought and like, well, here's where I got it. In fact, someone on Twitter today, I tweeted something and they responded like, hey, where do I get that? I'm like, I put the link. It was right there. And then they were followed up like immediately thereafter. Oh, I see. There's the link. That's where it's at. So that doesn't mean that's the winning combination. It's just that affiliate revenue can be a challenge in the sense that generally speaking, anybody can be an affiliate. Who always wins in an affiliate scenario tends to be that the entity that has a bigger audience and or owns the affiliate program or has products to sell on an affiliate basis. So this is one of the reasons why, over the years, I've been looking for different ways. And in 2014, I hope to put a finer point on this, to actually sell product directly. So instead of reselling, somebody else's, sending a link out to somebody else, I'm like, well, what if I'm able to mitigate or manage relationships, mitigate the problem, manage relationships, and actually sell product directly, and then sign up affiliates, through the way that we're able to drop ship items from point A to point B. That's the direction I want to go with it. So hopefully that's going to create a different kind of revenue stream. I'm wearing geeky hoodies, or I'm, drinking out of TARDIS mugs, or, whatever it happens to be. People are genuinely interested. And so why not be able to, if they want it and they want to, why, and I'm the one who brought the attention that, hey, there's a TARDIS mug that exists. Why would I not want to be able to get the credit? Why would the person not want to give the credit to me? And that's where the value of an affiliate program might be, but at a deeper level, what's going to provide more longevity than just clicking a link to send someone off to Amazon versus actually, building that community around a product or a shared interest in, say, Doctor Who. You notice I'm not wearing a geeky hoodie today. It's an anomaly. I know. What's that?
I said, is it laundry day?
It is, as a matter of fact. Okay. Although I don't like washing the hoodies regularly because I don't want them to wash out or get faded. And I don't sweat a lot, so it's not like, I've got like the stench that pours off. Anyway,
just don't want to dive it, just spray it.
Right, exactly. So I'm good. Sponsorship. Now, sponsorship is, to me, it's it is going to yield the highest amount of, I don't want to say revenue. There's a deeper value in having a sponsor or finding a sponsor. So, for example, this past just couple of weeks, I got approached from an agency who they said, "Hey, would you be interested in participating in a Twitter chat?" In the Twitter chat, pretty simple. You for an hour or so, you use a hashtag and you reply back and forth and you answer questions. Really simple, fun, easy to do. And they were looking for my participation. So I thought about it. I'm like, well, here would be my value for spending the time, leveraging my attention, and helping you create an experience that you're wanting to create. And that's completely different from I'm uploading a video and whatever banner ad gets run above it, I'm good to go. Getting those types of opportunities has never really been a challenge for me. And this, I would say, this is held true pretty much from the beginning. Going all the way back, it's become easier over time, and with the advent of social media and these various platforms, it's exceedingly simple in comparison to the way it used to be, where you had to roll your own, so to speak, or you were left to your own devices, again, so to speak. Diana hates me for using all these euphemisms. The sponsorship comes about because what you're doing and what you're putting out there is not just different, but it's getting the attention of others. It's not just having a viral video hit, a breakout. It's having that longevity. It's having that stability. And this is the one thing that I've learned with social media specifically. You may have a great Twitter following, but that doesn't mean that your YouTube following is going to be all that great, or that your Facebook following is going to be all that great. But when you have a greater YouTube following, it seems to be that every other account or every other social bit of social presence is going to have higher engagement. If YouTube comes first, if YouTube engagement's high, typically other engagement across social is high. Rarely have I seen it any other way. Oh, you may be a superstar on Twitter, doesn't mean you're squat on Facebook, doesn't mean you're squat on YouTube, doesn't mean you're squat on Google Plus, wherever. And so when a sponsor, a bigger brand, or maybe even a smaller brand, needs something that you have, they love your personality, they love the way you present, they love the way you engage, they love the way you communicate, they love the way you create something, this experience, this whatever it is, they're going to find you. And there's no formula to it, other than sometimes you have to do a lot for free to be able to get paid. And that really is what it boils down to. So in order for me to be able to work with, say, a larger brand, I have to prove myself. I have to say, look, dude, I know this is what I love doing. This is what I'm doing now. This is how I think I can do it. Are you interested in hiring me to do something? And many times people, they'll ask, agencies usually on behalf of brands ask directly for participation. I'm like, sure. Some people are willing to do that for a bag of peanuts. Hey, if that's what you want, awesome, you're good to go. I'm at the point now where my time is usually a little more valuable than a bag of peanuts, so I adjust accordingly. And I give them a chance. I'm like, well, here's what I can do. Here's what I would like to do. Here's what I think is possible. And I, give them, a few different options and let them kind of play with it. And sponsorship you can pursue. You can work on, through an agency, which the bottom line with that is I'd be very careful about signing any kind of exclusive relationships with anybody. Anybody. Be very careful. Exclusivity is a 4-letter word, because the promise is there, and like, hey, look, we'll create potentially amazing things for you. Potentially, you are ultimately going to be your strongest advocate. And you don't need exclusivity for that. You are exclusively yourself. That is something that I think, unfortunately, a lot of content producers who've done very well on YouTube don't quite understand. They don't have the business savvy to understand that you don't need to lock yourself in draconian contracts that may end up hurting you in not just the short run, but the long run as well. And you wouldn't necessarily know. When money's pouring in, you don't worry about it. When it stops, that's when you start to worry. So you have to plan ahead. And in terms of sponsorship, knowing that you're building, it took me, I can't say the vlogs, as odd as it sounds, the vlogs are not necessarily money makers. They're not. I mean, they work and they work well, and I know their position in the grand scheme of things, and I love doing them more than I've loved doing any other kind of video ever in my entire life. I love doing the vlogs. But they're not, at this stage, they're not the revenue drivers. I think they have a potential of becoming that, but it just takes me having done it over and over and over again to be able to create this experience that I want to create, to be able to go to various sponsors, or having sponsors come to me and say, hey, we've got something we want to present. What can you do for us? I'm like, well, here's what I can do, and here's another option for you. So sponsorship is, to me, that's the gold medal. That's a relationship you have directly with a brand versus low-hanging fruit, the advertising that is just going to run on a video. They don't necessarily care about the things that you're doing. But in order to get those sponsorships, typically you either have to have the right relationships with agencies or brands directly, which are important to massage, or you have to work very, very hard and diligently at creating a lot of free stuff in order to be able to have the gravitas so that when an opportunity avails itself, you can take advantage of it. Did that make any sense whatsoever?
Yes.
This is honestly, this is the problem with me doing anything, is you can't shut me up. So this is why I try to keep the vlogs at 10 minutes, because otherwise they would just go on.
When you say you're going to go down to 10 minutes, we're like, just 10 minutes?
It's hard. It's so hard for me to do sometimes.
Yeah, so I don't know if maybe, I don't know how much more time we've got or whatever, but
I think we've blown past the half hour, but that's okay. If you have more questions.
I don't know, if you have, obviously this was a relatively short chat where we have to be, I guess, really vague and not really specific about things, but do you have any other resources or books or things that you think that have been helpful to you that, you could recommend? I mean, I read so many of these books that $100 startup, 4-hour work week, all of these things, and they pretty much all regurgitate the same information. But I don't know if there's anything out there that's worth reading, or any other resources that you would say are worth going out to seek out.
To me, and it boils down to, it always boils down to this. Ultimately, experience is the best teacher. You're going to learn what works. You're going to learn what doesn't work. You're going to learn to adjust, and that's the key. You got to be nimble enough to know that what works today may not work tomorrow, and that it's scary, very scary. I've been through it so many times that I'm not as concerned about it as I used to be. Still, I try to position myself in a business to be able to survive or to transcend. I just love that word. Transcend, to move beyond, to be elevated beyond this, where you are today. The trying and actually, getting your hands dirty with something is ultimately going to be the best teacher. And you'll find that after you've experienced something, you go back and look at a resource. You'll go, oh yeah, duh, I went through that. Duh. You've already learned it. It's because you've done it. And that, to me, well, it's probably, I don't want to get into it. It's one of the bigger failures of the U.S. educational system is not having enough experience for kids or just any students. So when just go with your gut. You feel like, okay, I think this works. I see this is what other people are doing. I'd like to try it. I'd like to see what happens here. Here's my approach. Here's how I'd like to do it differently. And then you watch. I'm like, did it work? No. Well, a lot of people, I will find, they think they're doing the right thing, and they honestly believe that what they're doing is great, but the numbers just don't necessarily add up, and you have to reevaluate. Well, what are your expectations? Is what happened something that matches what you expected would happen? Do you consider something successful, not successful? Why? What's the nugget of truth that you might be able to dig out of something, a success, a failure? You're going to have to fail, really honestly, in order to really honestly, as opposed to really not so honestly, in order to understand or put into perspective your successes. Failing is not a bad thing. It's being able to understand why and do your best to adjust from there. And it's not necessarily suggesting that you're automatically going to, just because you understand exactly what failed, it means that you're going to succeed the next time. It just means that you're probably going to have to continue to find your way through it. I don't know if there's any amount of books that are going to help, really set you apart or make you succeed or help you succeed, other than to inspire you. And that's the one thing, having written books in the past, people have told me, hey, I founded a company because I read your book. I'm like, and then I sold it for billions of dollars. I'm like, that's great. I didn't even get a t-shirt. It's what you put out there, or what someone else might put out there, and what you might read or look into. It's what you draw from what somebody else does or says that is ultimately going to provide the most amount of value. And again, experiences. So I don't have any specific recommendations, other than, to me, it's trying, and it's always pursuing that thing that you is there, and constantly reaching for that ring that you just know is there. You may not get it the first time, and it may take you 20 times to get it, and you may never get it. There's never a promise that you just because you reach out to grab a ring means you're going to get it. It's that you're constantly trying, you're constantly looking, you're adjusting, you're surveying, you're doing things to move towards that goal. And that's usually what it is, right? It's that people stop trying. And even when you think you've got it, even when you think you're set, nah, dude, I'm telling you, if you do not keep moving forward, I'm not going to say you're doomed, but let me put it this way. If years ago, when YouTube was an option, even though I was already publishing my own video, had my own blog, newsletter, all that stuff, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, what? Give someone else my videos? It would be a greater challenge for me today than the challenges that I face today if I did not adjust and adapt to the realities of where the market was going, where community was growing, when I recognized there are more people who don't know who I am than do know who I am. It was just trying. It was experimenting. It was seeing, is it going to work? Reading an article here and there. I'm not a big book reader, though. I tend to watch what other people do and the experiences that they create, and go, that's really interesting. I wouldn't imagine that would be something that I could do. How could I do that? How would I be able to work that in to something that I would like to do? How could I make that work? And so having that mindset has allowed me that ability to be able to adjust. And so I would just encourage you never to stop trying, never to stop looking for inspiration. Never think that you're at the top of your game, because there's always going to be someone bigger, and better and faster, and all these errs. You're never going to be at the top. And maybe you will for a brief moment, but trust me, there's someone else right behind you, right? So what are you going to do and you got to ask yourself this, what are you going to do to not just reinvent yourself, because you're still yourself. I would never suggest that, but reinvent how you approach the ever-changing patterns of, well, I guess, this market, these opportunities that we might have as the internet grows and blossoms, and we find these new forms of information sources and entertainment sources. YouTube's that great right now. This great platform for getting your thoughts from where they are in your head out there to the world. It may not be around forever, so then you have to ask yourself, well, where else do you need to be able to make sure that you have that longevity, to know that you're going to be able to continue to be yourself. If your approach is, creating videos or creating experiences where your perspective is your perspective on technology, on this, that, or the other thing, where are you going to be 10 years from now? And it's that constant adjustment, constantly looking for inspiration. It's constantly trying. So to answer your question, no, I don't have any specific recommendations for books. My recommendation is you got to try, it's just try. You never know. You never know.
Great.
Yeah, wind me up.
I'm going to go try right after this.
Well, that's the key. Really, you just never know. Trying something new, and I'm always surprised. Always surprised. Always.
Do you have any questions?
No, this is your chat.
You're just sitting here like an awkward.
Hey, I'm just happy to be here.
As am I.
Okay. If we have more, I guess if we still have time to talk. Are there any things that you would?
Yeah, I've got a couple more minutes. Diana said that. She said, "I'll just wait here." Okay, so she's good right now.
Okay. I guess any big watch outs, things that you've seen people do that you're like, "Ooh, why do people keep doing this?" I don't know, YouTube faux pas, anything that you don't see this is a place where people should be spending their time.
I've probably done that, and I've been corrected several times over. Sometimes when you give people who are negative attention, you're just creating more negative attention. And you're better off giving attention to someone who values something that you've done than not. And I was reminded of this. Someone had tweeted random or retweeted something that somebody else had tweeted, saying every time a producer, or a content producer, or a YouTube producer comments to a troll, God kills a puppy or something like that. I'm like, I thought it was humorous, but I can't imagine God killing a puppy for that. But I thought about that. It really, that's a mistake I make regularly. Like, I want to put them in their place. Like, you shut up, I hate you because you hate me. What? So
that's where the whole religion and politics thing comes in. You can't get some people to agree.
So that, my initial response is to respond sarcastically, and it's one mistake that I continue to make, is not elevating enough of the people who support the things that I do, and I'm getting better at it. I really am. That's a pitfall I fall into all the time. I would say if there's a pitfall, that would be a pretty big one. And it's not easily overcomable either. I mean, you would imagine, well, if all I had, if I was getting comments, then, I would ignore the trolls. I'm like, it's easier said than done. And I think that's probably the biggest, it's not a mistake. It's just what are you gaining from it? I'll make an example when I need to make an example of somebody, or I feel like I need to make an example of somebody.
I normally just thank them for commenting and giving their opinion, because I find that it's like with people in real life, you're not going to get them to agree with you. It's going to annoy them more that you said something nice, because they were probably hoping to get you pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
So I just like to say, thank you for your opinion. I'm so glad you got to watch. Make sure to subscribe.
That may very well be enough. And that's the thing. Some people say, well, at least they commented, at least they subscribed, at least they're paying attention. If I notice someone like being very negative over and over again, I tend to block them. I'm like,
Yeah,
no good is ever gonna come out.
if you give me a really nasty comment,
Yeah.
you get a block and
Yeah.
spam or whatever the recording
Yeah.
is. But if you're just telling your opinion that's not the same as mine, that's fair. You're allowed to have an opinion that's different than mine.
I think that would be the if there was something that would be probably the biggest in my mind. Another thing might be not publishing regularly. You got to be consistent or consistent enough, and I'm horrible at that. I try to I've tried to.
You're horrible at that. Multiple videos a day.
Well, being formulaic with it. So I've got the vlog every day, but I haven't necessarily been as regular with other videos that I might have uploaded. But I'm trying to find. I want anything I put out there. I'm doing it for a reason. I want people to pay attention to it. I think it's valuable enough to share. But being regular and being consistent. Yes, I do publish every day. That is consistent. Having that, I think, is extremely valuable, which doesn't mean that the consistency is necessarily in my personality or my likes or needs. I mean, tomorrow I may decide that, Doctor Who season 7 takes a turn for the worse and, or 8 or whatever, 9, 10, 11, and decide that, oh, I'm done with it, right? It doesn't mean that I can't change. It just means that the regularity or the expectations aren't necessarily lost. And I can't imagine the way that I've created this bubble around myself would be a problem. It's just something to be cognizant of. Some people will project themselves onto you, and that becomes an issue not when you agree, but when you disagree, when there's discordance. That it becomes a bigger problem that you have to deal with. You like Windows Vista, somebody else doesn't, or whatever it happens to be, and suddenly there's a rift that is never going to ever be repaired, and you're the worst person on the planet because you have a completely different opinion. That's something that it's that when I talk about consistency, that's not necessarily it. So long as you're not constantly changing who you are, being consistent with what you're putting out there, I think is very important to be cognizant of.
Great. I don't know what else to ask.
It's okay.
I feel like you've covered a lot of things in one question.
It's what I do.
Yeah. What else? Anything else?
Tech related?
Anything related. YouTube related? Business related?
Are you more hopeful or fearful for the new Star Wars movie?
I am hopeful. There's so much, and they know. JJ knows. There's so much writing on this. He knows. Bigger than Star. This is so in a factor of 10, much more gigantic than Star Trek. I am hopeful that Disney will do what they do best and let what Star Wars was to its first generation be what we wanted it to be for the second generation. And I don't know. The funny thing is, I like the prequels, but I hate them at the same time because they're not.
What's really funny? That was one of our favorite vlogs. Was when you had Diana watch all of them.
Yeah.
Because this is really funny. One, I am older than my husband. Not as I don't think we have the same age gap as you and Diana. But Michael frequently also, like Diana, misses things that I say that are references. The way you'll say something and Diana will be like, "Huh?" And I'm like sitting there, everyone's laughing because you made a reference to something people got. But I liked the prequels, and I didn't grow up with the originals. I did the originals, but for me, the cool action stuff and the computer stuff made it more interesting to watch. And he was on the opposite side of that. So when Diana and you would watch a movie, and she was like, "I like that one," I'm like, "See, she likes the same things." I'm like, "I get it from a girl." I hope we want to watch the slow moving stuff.
I hope we did not cause any couples fights around the world, like because Diana liked the prequels or that Alexis liked the prequels. Here's the thing. I've seen them over and over and over again, and I watch them thinking they're going to get better. And they kind of do, but they kind of don't at the same time. After watching that arc with Diana, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, I actually appreciated the prequels more watching them in order, like every day, more than I had seeing them before. And so it was a very interesting experience to experience them through Diana's eyes.
I think we were. I think when you guys started watching them, we started watching them. So we were a few days off.
Oh,
but I
that's
think
awesome.
we were watching them again. I think that's why I went back to watch the original 3.
Right.
Because I hadn't seen them in a long time. So I was hoping that my more mature eyes would see something more interesting. And I definitely appreciate them.
So,
I see that they're the classics, but
that's the thing is like when you're a kid, they're different, right? It's like when you go to someone's house and it just seems so magical or different or big, and then you go there as an adult and you're like, this is
not as impressive
what I remembered, right? And so I think that what's that?
I said, where did
all the square footage go?
Right, exactly. And I think that I'm sure someone who understands brains, at a deeper level than I do could explain it better. But I think that's where a part of that the issues kind of stem from in terms of the original trilogy, and then of course the prequels. I think that's where it stems from, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to. And I believe Kasdan was pulled in as well on the next trilogy or beyond. Or Kirshner, was it Kirshner or Kasdan? Or both? No. I'm going to have to look it up.
Talking about?
Okay. So anyway, important people were pulled in on this project, and you'll have to pardon. Either way, I think it's going to be, I'm hopeful it's going to be very difficult for them to tap into that part of a childhood that I had that I don't necessarily find easily resurrected. To remember those experiences of seeing things for the first time. Hang on, I'm gonna brag. I talk about. I've talked about it. I think I actually recorded a video. This is the first Star Wars figure I ever purchased. This was after Empire Strikes Back was released, and it was 99 cents at a toy store. And I can't remember if I'd seen Star Wars at that time, but it looked cool. I'm like, dude, that guy looks awesome. So I finally got an AFA graded Empire Strikes Back on card. What is it? It's an 80, which is definitely collector class, AT-AT driver. And, how do you, evoke that same type of emotion that we had as kids that,
I don't think we're going to get that back.
What's that?
You had a chance. I said, I don't think we're going to get that back. You had that chance when you were a kid. You're now an adult.
So, but yes and no. So I never read, and still haven't, The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, anything from Tolkien.
Don't talk about The Hobbit. Don't.
That's that bad?
Where you like Star Wars, I like Tolkien.
Okay.
And I wanted to murder someone after I just watched Desolation and Smoke.
Really? That bad?
You can't watch a movie with me. You can't watch it.
The entire
This
time.
is the thing that gets me mad. The thing that just gets me mad is that they added extra information that was not in the book. You've never read the book, but if you've seen the first Hobbit, Azog the Defiler, the albino orc.
Right.
He's not in the book. So what's happened at this point, he's in a different book. I think he's in the Silmarillion, where they talk about how the dwarves were displaced from Erebor and then they went to Moria. That's where he fits in. So now in the second episode, they've got this guy chasing them who doesn't exist in the book. And so in order to kind of even him out, they bring in Orlando Bloom and the chick from Lost. Which,
Right.
by the way, everyone I talk to when I say I'm going to see The Hobbit, they go, "Oh, the one with Orlando Bloom?" I'm like, he is not even in The Hobbit.
Really?
So basically, they had to create a layer of storyline to offset another layer of storyline that was been added in. And then, you know, they might as well change the name of the movie to The Dwarves, because Bilbo is zero importance in these movies. It's really upsetting me, because when you read the book, you learn about hobbits and learn to love hobbits. You don't have any affection towards the dwarves, really. They're almost like a blanket, like they don't even have really their own personality.
Now, this is how we feel towards the prequels, right?
Just so
This
I can
is
say-
like,
Just so I can say, this was the car ride home. Both movies. There's so
Car
much
ride home.
here in this entire
I'm
school.
guessing you've dealt with this ever since you saw the film.
You know, and I didn't have a problem with Lord of the Rings. I know they did similar things in Lord of the Rings, but they did it right. They added in storyline where it needed to be. They didn't just add stuff like.
Hey, I have no horse in this race. No shadow facts at all.
Well, you know what? You should
remotely.
get them. The next Audible.com book needs to be The Hobbit or something.
You know, I've been wanting so badly, but I know. See, that's the thing. I'll get sucked in. It's like Doctor Who. Like I just like started
You will
watching.
get
and, like,
sucked in.
that's it.
I mean, that's how it started with me. Was I saw the movies and I'd never read any of the books, and I was so obsessed. There came a time where in my life, every day I had to watch a Lord of the Rings movie to put me to sleep.
Wow.
And I just loved it so much. So I was like, you know what? Why am I not reading these books? And then the books opened a whole new world and new appreciation. But what he's doing, that guy, Peter Jackson, with this movie is kind of atrocious.
He's that guy now. Wow.
Yeah, he does not. I loved the first ones. I don't know what he's doing with The Hobbit.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very. I had no idea.
You're
I've
just
never
losing the sense of the book. That's the problem.
Well,
You're making stuff up, and it's a totally new movie now.
I haven't seen it yet, and I've not passed judgment either way. Suffice it to say, capturing that one bit of what you latch onto when that is somehow shattered. Or we had this idea that Darth Vader was a badass, right? And to suddenly see that he wasn't really much of a badass, he was kind of a whiner, right? That kind of took our idea of what Darth Vader was, and like, I thought it was kind of, I like the guy. I mean, he's badass, right? Well, he's no longer.
Well, you have to remember too, at the end of the third movie, in the new trilogy, he gets taken over by the dark side. So it's almost like he's a different person, as though he refers to Anakin Skywalker as though he's not. He's someone from the past.
But I got a lot. I don't want to get into my problems with the prequels at this point in time, because I will go further and deeper than you ever could with Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. So, suffice it to say, I am hopeful. I think that Disney has done well with Marvel to this point. You know, I've enjoyed the array of superhero movies that have come out, not being, you know, a huge comic collector or reader as a kid, largely because of economics. It was, you know, I think they understand there's not necessarily a lot riding on this, but that a lot of the fans, I don't know if you've seen it's a documentary, The People versus George Lucas. It's on Netflix. I mean, it's good. I mean, if you're someone like me, and I guess
we'll watch it.
Yeah. It is worth it. In fact, Wicket and Pixie make an appearance very briefly at the beginning of the film.
Your
very,
dogs?
very briefly. Yeah. They did a Star Wars dogs video. Like when I dressed him up like Princess Leia, Darth Vader.
Okay.
So yeah, very, very brief. But that's not why I watched it. It was pretty good. I mean, it was an indictment of like, look, Lucas, like, you got so wrapped up in the visuals of it that you lost sight of what made us latch onto these characters.
And that is exactly what Peter Jackson did with The Hobbit. He was so obsessed with HD that he ruined it. He was trying to make it more action, more dialogue, more scenes.
Really?
Yeah, it's that you watch the Lord of the Rings and watch the Hobbits, and then you're like, wow, it was like they were filmed by two different people.
Really?
Think about how in the Lord of the Rings,
I haven't seen it, so
in the Lord of the Rings, there was a lot of scenes where, you know, there was instrumentals, and you were able to feel emotions, and you were able to connect with the characters without them saying anything.
Big open air shots.
Big open air shots, like you felt like you were pulled into this world. Everything here is like you've got goggles on.
I've seen it. I've fallen asleep to the Lord of the Rings plenty of times.
Fall asleep? How could you?
Who doesn't? I mean, that's normal, right?
I love Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I could watch it for 3 days.
No,
but you know what's funny?
It's epic.
You were talking about recently. You've been making me very happy in your vlogs because you've been doing the Skeksis voice that my husband hates.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, hang on. Did you see? I tweeted and I know I posted on social. Someone they made like a director's cut that never was.
Yes, it was like I don't know if I saw the whole thing. I saw that someone tweeted it or it was in one of my feeds.
Okay. It was the same movie, but it was different because there was no subtext. There was no translation of dialogue. The Skeksis spoke their own language, and the Mystics spoke their own language, and so you didn't know what they were necessarily saying, and it created this. It was such a different feeling from watching that fan-driven, quote-unquote, director's cut than it was seeing the film itself. No, it's like, dude. It may not look good, it may not sound good, but I would long to actually see that produced as a film. Like the quote-unquote fan-driven director's cut. Oh.
But has Diana seen it? I mean, the original Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I made her watch the Dark Crystal.
Have you catched her up on all the other greats? Because I feel like there's other things you missed, like Willow, Labyrinth.
No. I don't think she's seen Labyrinth. I'm pretty sure she hasn't seen Willow.
I mean, she's got to see Labyrinth. You've also got to throw Legend in there.
I didn't like Legend.
Okay. Just it's Tom Cruise as like a fairy guy.
I didn't like Legend. I didn't like Legend. I didn't like Kroll. I remember Flash Gordon, but not having an affinity to it, other than through Ted.
All the Conans, the original Conan, the Barbarian.
Beastmaster, Conan.
Yeah, Beastmaster.
It wasn't for me. I was more of a sci-fi. It was like Star Wars.
I guess I'm more sci-fi in the whole fantasy world.
Okay. I'm going to esoteric on your ass. Battle Beyond the Stars. No,
I think I've seen it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. Battle Beyond the Stars. It was like, or Battlestar Galactica, the original, not necessarily the new series.
See, that's something I want to get into is Battlestar Galactica and things like that because we don't really watch normal TV.
Wait. Tell me you've seen Battlestar Galactica, the new series.
No, we don't.
There was Cylons.
No, we don't watch that one yet.
The only thing I know about that is everyone's a Cylon. Like that's a big like.
Well, it's not everyone's a Cylon.
Was there a movie with John Travolta as an alien? Was that?
No, you're thinking of
that was
Battlefield Earth.
Oh, Battle something. Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
Oh, that movie, man.
Fantasy was. I liked fantasy, but not as much as sci-fi, honestly. And I love a good fantasy, like Lord of the Rings. Like if there was a pinnacle for me, like wow, like epic. Like this is what I enjoy. Like Lord of the Rings was absolutely.
You got to show her Willow and Labyrinth though. She'll love those.
Yeah, Willow I liked a lot. Labyrinth I liked. I think she's seen Labyrinth. In fact, they had a traveling show at the Seattle Sci-Fi Museum where I got to see Tolkien's his actual book, like,
his original manuscript.
Yeah, manuscript. Yeah, they had it like on display. Dark Crystal stuff. They had some of that stuff. They had some of Game of Thrones stuff. I mean, they had all sorts of memorabilia like scattered throughout the museum. It's a travel.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is another one on the to-do list.
Do Game of Thrones. Right.
But I want to read the books. I want to do the books first. I have someone who has them on tape.
But then you'll be disappointed.
That's fine, though. That's okay. I'm used to disappointment. I'm an Italian woman.
She would rather be right than have a joint.
I'd rather be right than
Wait. Did you say you're Italian?
Yeah, I'm Italian.
Okay, I say I'd rather be right as well. So that I totally understand.
Because I'm Calabrese. We have to be right, and we are also hot-headed. So we get yelled at for everything.
Okay, then you have to explain to Diana everything, because I don't think I've effectively translated what it's like for the Italianness that is like just innate. I don't.
Well, was it you guys? Who was it that was talking about Italian? It may have been. It may have been you. It may not have been. Someone was talking about Italians in terms of Jersey Shore. Like, let me explain being Italian to you. Let's watch Jersey Shore, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with us.
I don't think Diana likes the Snooki, JWoww, whatever the hell it is. But I don't think she's ever looked at that. She understands Italians through the experience of me and my family, but she just doesn't. She hasn't quite molded herself.
Just have her watch The Godfather a few times.
I tried.
It's funny. And Analyze This. He just saw that for the first time.
Yeah.
That one, I can't even. It's every scene. I go, Al Pacino's my dad. Al Pacino's my dad.
Al Pacino.
Oh no, Robert De Niro.
Right,
my father sounds like Robert De Niro in real life.
The entire movie, I watched it for the first time. I was like, "Is that your dad? Is that your dad? What's your dad doing in this movie?"
That's one that could be a nice, and I think also maybe that Mickey Blue Eyes is another good one.
Oh yeah.
That one with Hugh Grant. It's all about assimilating people into Italians.
Yeah.
So she's got to
watch I have tried, and she kind of gets it bits and pieces, but she doesn't understand that I'm just going to be very passionate about everything. That's really, and it's when I'm not passionate about something that you really have to worry.
Yeah, she should just embrace it. She could become honorary Italian, and then she'll be happy.
I have tried over and over and over again, and maybe this video will convert her.
I mean, she teases her hair. She's halfway there. Just have her.
I know. This is what I'm saying. But it's her. She's got to decide for herself. It's up to her. In fact, I do have to get going and picking her up. Otherwise, I'm not getting.
So wait, just one more thing I wanted to tell you was that there was a comment I left on one of your videos once, and you brought it up in the next day's video. The vlog. Diana makes her. I'll tell you what it was, because it was funny that you brought it up. Diana makes her salsa, and she's got it stored in bowls, and she puts this thing over top that I thought looked like a hairnet. A shower cap.
Shower cap, yeah.
I told Mike, I'm like, is that a shower cap? Is that like a new use for them? Like a life hack sort of a thing? And you were like, you guys mentioned it in the vlog, and we were like, that was us! We left that comment!
Yay! See, I read comments.
Yeah, you guys do. That was funny. That was real funny. Okay, so I'll let you go. Tell Diana we said hello.
Yeah, I will.
If she wants to, whatever, she wants to, we'll do a YouTube with her, whatever it's called, a Skype chat.
Yeah, she'll, I'll let her know. I'm like, your name came up several times, and you gotta watch it.
Well, let me tell you, Diana is like most of the fun of the vlogs.
Thanks.
Because it's like, what is she, you sit down and do your stuff. She's doing crazy stuff in the background. It's like, if you cut her out, your days would be mostly the same.
I know, that's the problem.
But it's fun. You guys need to do more like tag videos, like the husband and wife tag.
Yeah, we did. We did. Of course,
you put her makeup on her, and I was just as. You know what's funny? He's done my makeup before.
I did a good job.
And he did a good job.
Really? I got compliments
for the crazy eyeliner.
Twice.
The green eyeliner. She didn't. I don't know if you saw that, but it was just the other day. It was like 2 days ago.
It's all about blending. It's just got to blend. That's the blending.
He did it backwards. He put her blush on first, then her contour.
That's like how I did.
And then he put powder names, just mush it all together.
But it worked.
Yeah, it did. It did work in the end. I was actually there was a point where I was really worried for her foundation.
I think everybody was, but it worked. It really did. It really worked.
So that's funny. Those challenges are funny.
She'll watch it. I'll tell her. She'll watch it. I'll say, hun, if you're bored with the business stuff, just skip to the end. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, makeup.
Star Wars.
No. I'll tell her that there's a lipstick in the middle.
That's right.
Well,
and she has to find it.
The lipstick was, but
that was during the business.
We won't tell her that.
Okay.
She'll have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, just to find out the lipstick.
There's a secret lipstick. Anyway, no, thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys tuning in and having fun and participating and watching. Certainly.
Yeah. Thank you. So maybe we'll speak again. Hopefully, I don't know. So,
sure. Don't be a stranger.
This is fun. I love this. There's so few couples out there that we can talk geek to, you know? We have some other friends who come over for game night and, you know, you mention like Lord of the Rings or something and they just want to leave. Exactly.
I'm sorry. I was like, I was falling asleep. I wasn't actually falling asleep.
I know.
That's my sarcasm.
Okay. Go pick Diana up. Glad she got back from B-dubs.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. So anyway, thanks again, guys.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.